Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be succeed at your own pace. Well, if you're trying to improve your success with women, whether you're trying to improve your pickup skills, your dating skills, your relationship skills, or you're trying to make some major changes in your life, maybe your career, you're trying to change jobs, get a better job, get the job you've always wanted, maybe start that business you've always wanted, go on a diet, get in better shape, lose a few pounds, whatever it happens to be. What I've learned in life is that you got to go at your own pace. It's because life is really kind of like a game of golf. And at the end of the day, the only person that is playing is really just you. You're playing yourself. And so what I've learned is, like, especially like being an entrepreneur, is that most of your ideas don't work. And especially like when, for me, having created, probably, I guess about a dozen different businesses at this point in my career, from an idea to the point where they're actually a profitable business, the process always takes more than I thought it was going to take. If I think something's going to take me 2 years to figure it out, sometimes it takes 5. I think something's going to take me 5 years to figure out, it may maybe 12, 13 years. It's just kind of the way things go. And so what you have to do is you have to let go of your attachments, because like when we set goals to accomplish something, we'll say, oh, I can do that in 6 months, or I can do that in 2 years, or I can do that in 2 weeks, or I can do that in 2 days. And I know from experiences that human beings, we tend to overestimate what we can do in a year, but we tend to underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. And so whether you're trying to improve your success with women, or you're trying to make some major changes in your life, or just change your career, nothing happens overnight. Things always have a process that they have to go through. And especially if you're starting a new business, or you're trying to improve your skills with women, when you're starting out with anything in life, you simply don't know what you don't know. Like this particular business that I have, my life coaching business, when I started out, I knew I had great information and that it would work and it would help people, because I had been applying the same kind of principles in my own life for decades. And so I knew this stuff worked. However, the way to package up my services, and between my book and my coaching and all of my knowledge and information, how do I bring it to the world? How do I find clients? How do I grow a business? How do I impact people's lives and change their lives all over the world? I had an idea. I knew I could do this stuff when I started out, but I really had no idea how I was actually going to accomplish it or pull it off. And you may have heard me say this before. It's like when you look at my website and you see all the different things that are on it today. I'm looking on here my computer. All the little systems and tools and plugins and things that make it work, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or my email list or the articles. I mean, all these different little facets. Pretty much most of them didn't even exist when I started my business, and yet these things that make my business a success today and make it profitable, they didn't even exist when I started. And so I'm working to figure out a business model, and the bottom line was what was ultimately going to make it successful didn't even exist when I started. And so that's something to think about, and you got to factor that stuff in there. And so I got an email here from a guy that I did maybe 6 or 7 coaching sessions with last year, and he really struggles a lot. But what I like about his emails, he's very descriptive in the things that he goes through and the things that he suffers with. And so he's basically sitting on his couch for the next few weeks because he's recovering from surgery. And about a year has gone by since I think March of last year was probably the last time that I did any phone coaching with him. But I told him, I said, you got to go at your own pace. It's like you don't have, because he wants to go to college. He's going to spend the next decade of his life becoming a veterinarian. He's going to be moving out of states. He's an on-the-road trucker right now, so he drives a truck, 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. And so these are some huge major life changes that he's been talking about and thinking about doing. And now after a year has gone by, he's really starting to feel some internal pressure to move himself forward. So he says, hey, Corey, how are you? I hope the new year is treating you well. Since I am OOC, out of commission, for a bit due to surgery, I wanted to write as it's been a while. Right off, I did not write to complain about anything, just had a few questions, as I'm really struggling big time and endure a lot of fear, emptiness, and despair for obvious reasons. That's what happens when you don't take any action. Inaction breeds fear and doubt and confidence, or I should say taking action breeds confidence and courage. He says, I've never done anything to improve myself before and am ever cynical due to ongoing attitude problems and thought patterns. I also have never asked for this kind of help before, and you would have thought I would have at least done something by now, but no. You said something to me last year that kind of stuck with me about not being in a hurry to improve and take action. You were right, but now I feel time is running out because I'm about to turn 37 and I don't know shit yet. Do you remember I had brought up a certain chick several times in Peoria, Illinois? Well, it's been almost 9.5 years and I cannot get her out of my mind for nothing. The truth is, I don't know any better if she's still the only one I even care to think of, due to the fact that I believe she's the hottest thing and only thing ever created. I know I will never see her again, as this gal doesn't even associate with people like me anymore. Therefore, I ought not to worry about it. I know you're not a psychiatric doc or anything. I'm a life coach, by the way. But what do you recommend? Well, what this sounds to me is like you're stuck in the past. I've got an article that I wrote called, I think it was just called Stuck in the Past. If you Google Corey Wayne, Stuck in the Past, if you're watching this video, you'll be able to find it. And if you're on the web page where the article is, obviously I'll have a link in here to it. But that's a great article. If you have an old relationship that ended and you can't let it go or whatever, or things didn't end the way you want them to, it'll help you move past what's happened, and so you can move forward and create something new for your life. So he says, I'm just asking for real help, friend to friend. You have to know that there are truly pathetic human beings out here, and I am not one of those. Well, it's interesting. This particular client of mine last year, he felt like, hey, a couple times he said to me, hey, some of us are meant to be losers and meant to be unsuccessful. And even though all of his friends and family think he's the greatest guy and he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, he didn't see himself that way. But I worked with him, and now to hear him say that, hey, I'm not one of those guys, is that he's accepted that. He's accepted that there's something special about him, obviously because his friends and his family seem to think so. He says, I know I continue to put this girl on a pedestal and she deserves nothing, not even so much as a single sliver of thought, but at least it gives me something to aspire to, quality-wise. A great article you should read is the article I wrote called How to Attract the Perfect Woman. And if you're a woman watching this, it'll work for you as well. It's basically how to attract the ideal mate. So I'll put a link on this page if you're watching the video on my website, and if you're just on YouTube, just Google How to Attract the Perfect Woman, Corey Wayne, and it'll come up. I tell you, what if I'd been working on this stuff all last year? I maybe wouldn't be writing this shit to you now. Probably not. He's basically, I wonder, if he'd been working on this stuff all along, he'd be a lot further along. It's true. But hey, you can't beat yourself up over it. You took time to get really clear about what you wanted. And so now you just got to start taking some action. And he says, as I've expressed before, I'm just concerned that this kind of thing will take me until I'm 40 or so. Well, if you keep waiting, like you were 36 when you started last year, now you're 37. So a year has gone by and you really haven't done much to help yourself out. And so if you're worried about being 40 years old and still nothing happening, well, if you keep doing what you're doing, I guarantee you by the time you hit 40, nothing will have changed. So when is now a good time to do something? When is now a good time to make a change for the better? So he says, fucking right now I'm so pissed that no one ever bothered to tell me about these kinds of things when I was way younger, especially when I was on active duty Navy. Well, you know what? The stuff I teach, most people don't know it. And even the ones that do, or the very few people will take action and improve their lives. So no reason to beat yourself up. I'm not afraid of anything this fucked up world has to offer, but when it comes to beautiful women, I choke. Well, that's not always the case, because in an article that I posted on here last year, it was called Why Women Love Cocky Jackasses, and I'll put a link to that article on this page. But he took some action. He went out with a buddy of his, and he was out having a great time, doing the things that I've talked about, And women were responding to him, whereas normally they just fucking ignore him. So at least he's had that experience and he knows that the stuff works. And he says here, I want to believe that it's true when someone changes the way they view things and or changes their attitude that great things can and will happen. I'm at the point now, man, that I'm fucking crazy and I need to ratchet up the volume and kick a lot of ass. So basically he's telling me he's at the point where he's like really feeling so I got to do something. It's becoming a must for him, and that's the key. Is that when something becomes a must for you, that's when people will actually take action on it and actually start doing something. And so you got to have a compelling vision. You got to have a compelling future. You got to have something that's exciting for you and they're striving for. And so I've got a article that I'll put a link on here to help you create and accomplish goals that are emotionally compelling for you. And the name of the particular article, if you don't have any goals set yet, is called Goal Setting That Works. So if you apply that technique to goals, whether it's women and dating or it's starting a business or whatever, if you follow that, it'll create a good plan. So this particular client, I can tell he's basically at the point where he's ready to make some major changes. He's laid up with some surgery. He's been contemplating this stuff. He's testing these things out. He's obviously been reading my articles. And he's finally at the point that he's ready seriously to do something. And in closing, one of my favorite mentors said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Confucius said, it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. So if you find this message of value, you can show your appreciation by going down to the Wibiya toolbar, which is at the bottom of your screen if you're watching this video on my website. Click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information in this video. At the very least, please share this page with all your friends and family by clicking any one of the social network sharing buttons, which are also located in the Wibiya toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And if you have a question that you want to ask me or there's a topic you'd like for me to cover in a future video newsletter, click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen and send me 3 or 4 paragraphs detailing your situation. And just give me several days to get back to you with a detailed response because I get a lot of emails. And if you want to talk to me right away and book a phone coaching session with me so I can help you with your personal situation or a challenge that you're having, click the Products tab at the top of your screen and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.